Hello. This video is going to address converting between systems of angle rotation. Okay. One thing I want to make clear is that in this trigonometry class we're going to look at several forms of movement, and I want to really just be clear about what the rotation is. So we can have horizontal movement, so you're moving from left to right. We can have vertical movement, you're moving up and down. And then you can have rotation, right, where essentially you're pivoting around a point. That's rotation. Okay. And if you're in a standardized rotation, you start at 0 degrees is due east. Right. Now, the basic process of converting between any two systems is, and it doesn't matter when I say any two systems, that could be volume, mass, distance. In this case, we're going to address angle rotation. But that process is always the same. You multiply by 1 using an equivalency between the two systems. So then you choose denominator units to be the units you're starting with and the numerator units to be the units you want to end with. All right. So let's do a really familiar example so that we can really just break it down, something that you already know, and look at the pieces. So let's say I tell you this distance is 3 inches, okay? And you want to convert to feet. So you know, here's your equivalency. You know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot, okay? So 1, when you multiply by 1, that could be 12 inches divided by 1 foot. Oops. Or 1 could also be 1 foot divided by 12 inches. Because remember, when I write 12 inches, I'm representing a certain distance, and that distance is the same distance as 1 foot. So the same distance over itself is 1. Now, if I start with 3 inches, and my process is to multiply by one of these equivalencies, right, either this one or this one, and I want to choose the denominator units to be the units I'm starting with and the numerator units to be the units I want to end up with. So essentially, in the denominator I'm going to have inches, which is what I'm starting with, and feet, which is what I want to end up with. So in this case, I want this one right here. 1 foot is 12 inches. And what's going to happen is the inches cancel out, the numerator and the denominator, and then you're going to be left with feet, and then you just multiply the numbers. 3 times 1 divided by 12 is a fourth, or 0.25. Now I know you knew this, but that's why I wanted to use it, is because you do know it. It's simple, you can follow through. It's really no different when we go and we talk about angle rotations. It's going to be the same process. You just have to learn the equivalencies, commit them to memory, and then understand that you're multiplying by 1 and know which equivalency to use. That's it. Okay. So here are some equivalencies for systems of measurement. There are others, but these are the most common ones. So you have 1 revolution around the circle, meaning you start at a point, you go all around the circle, and you end up exactly the same place. That is 360 degrees. Then you have 1 degree is 60 minutes, and do be careful about these symbols, right? And then 1 minute is 60 seconds. So we're going to work with these before we get to this. And then visually, I just want to kind of let you see. I'm not the greatest artist, but we'll try. So here's 1 revolution. I start at 0, right? And I go all the way around, like this. I'm pivoting around that central point there. Boom. I end up at the same place. I went 360 degrees. Well, that's a lot of subdivisions, right? So I tried to draw in, here's what 1 degree might look like, and it's already too big, I'm sure. But let's bear with me. Suppose this one little slice here is this rotation of 1 degree. There. So that's going from here to here. Then when I write that 1 degree is 60 minutes, what we're saying is we're taking this degree, this rotation, and literally dividing it into 60 parts like this, right? I don't know, there's 60 of them, but humor me. And then when we say that 1 minute is 60 seconds, it means that I take one of these minutes, and again, I'm not going to be able to really draw this well, but here's maybe a minute, and again, we know that's too big, but let's say that's a minute. and I now transfer that down here as a rotation. I divide a minute into 60 seconds. So you can really see that there are an awful lot of seconds in just 1 degree. All right, so let's do that conversion. If I want to know how many seconds are there in 1 degree, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can go ahead and do that. Make that transition there. So what you would start here, it would actually be a double one. You have 1 degree, and remember your equivalencies are right here. So we know that 1 degree is 60 minutes. So I want to say, well, in 1 degree there are 60 minutes. Right? But then that leaves me with 60 minutes, and now I want to go into seconds. So I know that they're here. In 1 minute there are 60 seconds. So in 1 minute there are 60 seconds. So now these degrees would cancel out. These minutes would cancel out. You'd multiply 1 times 60 times 60 to get 3,600. Divide by 1, divide by 1. So we have 3,600 seconds are in 1 degree. So obviously there's a lot of precision here. Okay. So now let's take another example, and let's say you were asked to convert 17 degrees, 22 minutes, and 46 seconds into what they call decimal degrees. Now, what does that mean? Well, remember, 1 degree is being divided so much into minutes and seconds that you're now actually finding a fraction or decimal part of a full degree. So we'll see hopefully what that looks like at the end. So what this is really equal to is 17 degrees plus 22 minutes plus 46 seconds. So we can go ahead and convert each one. Now we're already into degrees here. Now we need to work with these to get them into degrees. So if we have here 22 minutes, I want to multiply by 1, but here I would have that 1 that would have 60. There are 60 minutes in 1 degree. So now the minutes cancel out, and so I basically have 22 times 1 divided by 60, or 22 divided by 60, and you're going to get 0.3667 degrees. So now we're in degrees, and now we have to convert still the 46 seconds into degrees. And again, we're going to go and say, okay, well, there's 60 seconds in 1 minute, and then now we're into minutes. And now I want to say, well, there's 60 minutes in 1 degree. So now, I'm going to use a different color here. These cancel out, these cancel out, and I'm going to be left with degrees, right? I'm going to be left with degrees. And if you multiply 46 times 1 times 1 divided by 60 divided by 60, and that's actually what you're going to do in your calculator, you're going to get 0.0128 degrees. So now if I add all that up, 17 degrees plus 0.3667 degrees plus 0.0128 degrees, you're going to get 17.3795 degrees. Now, I'm not sure if visually I can show you what that really means, but we're going to try. Okay. So what that means is you're starting rotation here at 0 degrees, and you start and you go 17 degrees, right? And then let's say this would be, again, much bigger than it really is, but let's say that's 18 degrees. Well, you're saying how much more do I have in degrees? Well, 22 minutes, well, we know 22 minutes. There's about 60 minutes in a degree, so this is almost a third, right? 20 divided by 60 is about a third. And notice we got 0.3 would have been about a third, but you know, there's a little bit more. And then you still have your seconds. So what you're saying is you're going 17 degrees plus a little bit more, almost, let's say 0.4, right? Plus another 0.4 of the way, like that. So you're actually rotating from here to about here. Okay? Like that. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Oh, wait, there is something else I wanted to talk about. Wait, before we go. This is a little bit ahead. I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but it's the same concept. You're going to find out later that 360 degrees, or 1 revolution, right, or 1 revolution, is the same as 2 pi radians. 2 pi radians. So radians is going to be your new system. Another way of measuring angle rotation. So you're going to do the same thing. So let's say, for example, somebody says, convert, let's say 8 degrees into radians. Well, remember, you basically have that 1 is 360 degrees divided by what? 2 pi, or 1 is also 2 pi divided by 360 degrees. So go ahead and set that up. Pause that and set that up. What would you do? All right, so hopefully you would say 28 degrees. You're going to multiply by 1. Remember, you want to get out of degrees and go into radians, right? So you'd say this equivalency, 360 degrees, and then here 2 pi. If you want, you can write radians to help you out. And essentially what's going to happen then is you're going to cancel out cancel out degrees and go into radians. That's what you'll have. And so you'll actually multiply 28 times 2 times pi and then divided by 360, and you should get 0.48, let's say 9 radians. And then of course there's something you'll learn later, but they don't actually write radians, but it's understood. And let's say they asked you to convert 1.7 radians into degrees. Again, pause the video and see what you would get. So hopefully you'd say 1.7. If you need to, write it down, radians, like that. And then write 2 pi radians if you need to. And then here, 360 degrees. And let me just mention here, to do this confuses students sometimes. Let's see if you can see that. Let's start putting it in there. 1.7. No. Let me bring this up to you. So I have 1.7. And I want to multiply by the 360 and divide by 2 and pi. So you can either use parentheses, or you could do 1.7 times 360. Oop. See if this will focus. And then you go divided by 2, divided by, and your pi is second, the caret key. Okay, that's what you would do. So you get about 97.4 degrees. All right. Thanks so much for listening.